This week on Raiders Talk of the Nation, it's time for a little pop quiz. What does Predator, Happy Gilmore, and Rocky have in common?
Just win, baby.
That's right, actor Carl Weathers stops by Allegiant Stadium, but not before Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Don Felder rocks it out and brings a surprise fit for a champ.
To mark Friends for Life.
Plus, I sit down with ESPN host and musician Jason Fitz and get a surprise of my own. Raiders Talk of the Nation starts right now. Welcome to Raiders Talk of the Nation. I'm Sibley Scoles, and we are back for another week with more of the biggest names in music and sports coming your way. Now, rarely do you hear a bigger name in rock music than the Eagles with songs like Hotel California and Desperado. They've become known for their hits over the years, and I got a chance to sit down with the band's legendary guitarist, Don Felder, to find out the stories behind the songs. I was just reading an interview, and I know you've been asked this question about Hotel California a lot. How did that come about? You were in your swimwear, and you're sitting there just looking out the...
I was living in a rental house on the beach in Malibu. And I was just my kids. I had two little kids, one about 9 months, 10 months old, one about 2.5. They were out playing in the sand, and we had a swing set in the sand. I was just sitting there with this acoustic guitar, watching them play and watching the sun glisten on the Pacific, and just was playing, and out came that progression. And I played it 3 or 4 times through, and it's much like waking up in the middle of the night with a dream and going, I have to write this down because I won't remember it. So
right.
I got up and went back to my daughter's bedroom, which served as a recording studio during the day when she was awake, and I turned on the microphone and just recorded that progression about 4 or 5 times.
Right.
Then I turned it off and went out and played with my kids. And so when we came time to start writing ideas for Hotel California, I went back and listened to a bunch of things that I'd started, and I went, I'm going to finish that one.
Oh, I love when the music comes from something that you've experienced. It's real.
Yeah.
Real emotion. Raider Nation is watching. Do you want to tell them anything?
I have to say, I have been a Raiders fan for decades, since you guys were in Oakland, and especially when you came to LA. I was there at every game. I'm still going to them now. I've always been a big Raiders fan.
Always part of Raider Nation.
That's right.
We love it.
Raider
It's one
Nation.
big family.
Did you hear the lyrics in the song tonight?
Yeah, yes.
Welcome to the Hotel Raider Nation.
And there you go. We'll see you later, guys.
Give it up one more time. Don Felder.
And coming up later in the show, we'll take you behind closed doors for a look at the surprise from Don that left Mark Davis speechless. Well, listen, he's a man of many talents, ranging from radio to TV and music. Now ESPN host Jason Fitz is continuing to make his mark in the world of sports, with some of his earliest memories tied to the silver and black. Sitting with none other than Jason Fitz. Sir, tell us why we're here today, because we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we're here to hang out, I guess.
Right?
Like, you know, it's never lost on me, because like I do what I do at ESPN because I'm a Raiders fan. Like
Yeah.
that was it for me. You know, growing up as a kid, the Raiders were life. And when I made a career change, it was because I wanted to be able to be around sports because I love the Raiders so much.
Yeah.
So the fact that we're sitting, you know, in the headquarters doing this, like, woo,
It's awesome.
I got juice.
Exactly that. I can't make that noise. Wait, let's try it together. Ready? 1, 2.
Oh, wait.
1, 2, 3.
woo.
Oh,
Okay.
it's like a dog.
There's so
Okay.
much work to do. There's so much.
Do you remember that first game that you watched, or the moment you realized, okay, I'm a fan. This is something that I'm going to be dedicated to for life?
So I grew up in Vegas as a little kid. By the time I was 8, I was practicing 8 hours a day. Like I was an accomplished musician as a little kid. But my dad is a big Raiders fan, and his one rule was like, not on Sunday. And it wasn't because like we were going to church. No, my dad was like, I don't want to listen to a cat die while I watch the Raiders. So my dad would go every Sunday, and he would get a dozen donuts, and we'd sit down together. We would consume those dozen donuts, and we would watch the Raiders game. So for me, like the Raiders became a release even as a little kid, because when you're practicing that hard while you're going to school and you're doing all these things, like you don't necessarily get a lot of like unplugged time. So Sundays became like, I don't do anything. And the funny thing is, even all the way to when I was out on the road, most notably with the band Perry, on Sundays, I would call the venue in advance if I had to and go to the catering company and be like, hey, I need a dozen donuts so that I can sit on the bus and watch the Raiders game. as a little kid, you can burn those dozen off
Right.
faster. As an adult, I don't know what, like a dozen double chocolate donuts, the same donut the whole way.
What was it about that team? Was it more so seeing how passionate your dad was, or was it watching the guys out there on the field and what they were doing during that time when you were young, watching them out there?
If you do the math, I remember watching football when I was 6 or 7. That was right around the time, right after the Raiders won the Super Bowl against Washington. And it was just always an electric, fun team to watch with personalities. It was so easy to root for the Raiders as a kid because it was in that era of explosive plays. It was in that Marcus Allen, then Bo Jackson era where it was just fun, Howie Long. Like, you think about the big personalities that were easy to gravitate to, and frankly, like Vegas was in LA. They were the LA Raiders when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And Vegas was an LA town. Like the Raiders and the Lakers were, if you walked out on the playground, in 5th grade, you were either wearing a 32 jersey for the Raiders or a 32 jersey for the Lakers.
Right.
That's what everybody
everybody
wore. And so, like, I think it was just ingrained. It was so culturally accepted. And then the more I moved around, the more galvanized. Because when you're living in New England, all of a sudden it's like, no, I'm like, my 6th grade yearbook, my teachers were like, go Raiders in it, because that's all I ever talked about.
Right.
But I think it became the us against the world, was something I felt because I was moving around so much. It was like me against the world, and the Raiders were always us against the world, right? So I think that there's a personality click that just happened.
What do you think having the Raiders here has done for the city?
There's just a total tonal change about the city of Las Vegas because there is the infrastructure here to support and love a team and have it be their own. And I remember when I was a little kid and we moved, and one of my mom's friends said, you never really leave Vegas. I think that's true, and a lot of people don't realize that. Like, Vegas is ingrained in who you are, and it may take a generation before the Raiders are ingrained in Vegas, but that will happen.
Yeah.
And that's how you make that next generation of fans. I think where Las Vegas is right now, it's going to be impressive to see what it looks like in 15 years.
Still to come, Jason shows us his musical skills with a Raiders twist. What? Applause! Everyone, applause! And a legend pays tribute to a Raiders legacy.
This is Al Davis's legacy as far as I'm concerned.
Raiders Talk of the Nation returns after this. Raiders Talk of the Nation has been brought to you by Allegiant Air, the official airline of the Las Vegas Raiders. Low fares, nonstop flights. Book now only at Allegiant.com. Powered by Cox, a proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Something happened today at the game. You gifted MD something very special that left him speechless.
Wow.
Can you let us know what that was?
I told him I had a couple of surprises for him since we were going to come play for him. It's always nice that when somebody invites you into their home to bring them a gift, right? So he had told me before when I first started talking to him, when I first met him, that he knew Orianthi and he had a guitar collection. I went, wow, what kind of guitars have you got? He says, well, Orianthi gave me one of her guitars and I've got one of these guys. So I thought it was only appropriate when I came to bring him a white double neck guitar like I play on Hotel California.
Yes.
I wrote on it to Mark, friends for life. Don,
I'm speechless.
As a former member of the band Perry, Jason Fitz was part of a group winning countless awards. So it was a surprise to see him leave one of the most famous groups in the world to choose a different path to find success in sports.
How many years now have you transitioned from music to, or was it always kind of a combination of both?
No, so like our busiest year on the road, we were gone 300 days. And I remember coming home and saying like, I'm so lucky to do what I do. I don't love it. Like, I just didn't get, I was never that kid that got some sort of a big thrill out of performing. I got a thrill out of executing a show perfectly, which is a very different thing. So for me, standing up in front of 100,000 people, jumping up and down while you're playing a fiddle solo, while everybody else might get a rush, all I was thinking about during that solo was where do I go next? What's the next thing on the show? It was just never, it didn't feed my soul. So I was really grateful to do it, but it didn't sort of make me want to go back and do it every day.
Right.
So I remember sitting down and saying that to one of my buddies, and they were like, hey, well, if I asked 100 of your friends, what do you really care about? What's the answer? And I said, sports. So the edict was find a way to talk about sports. So I started a podcast in 2013 before podcasts were a thing. And I put up a 10-minute podcast and was like, I'm gonna talk about sports. And that started the whole trajectory for me. I ended up ripping it apart, and then I would have music guys talk about sports guys talk about music, built it from the ground up. And in 2016, ESPN came to me and said, hey, we're gonna offer you this college football show with Mike Golick Jr. and Elega Sadeghi on what they call a usage deal, which means you can get fired after the first show if it's not good. And so I quit the band with no idea how I was gonna pay the bills, how I was gonna keep my lights on. My last show was the Alaska State Fair, and 2 days later I was in Charlotte on ESPNU doing a college football show, hoping to God that I kept my job.
But you knew.
But I always tell people, you know, bet recklessly on yourself, because nobody else will. Like, nobody's ever gonna care as much about what you wanna do as you do. So if you can't, like, make that jump, and then you're looking at the rest of the world and you're like, well, I want you to take a leap of faith in me, you gotta do that for yourself first.
Are we doing some autumn wind? Is that what's happening?
Yeah. We're gonna do some autumn wind. I posted this on, I haven't played this in a long time. Yeah, autumn wind.
We're gonna see what happens here.
Yeah, we'll just see how it goes. Something like that.
What? Applause! Everyone, applause. What? That sounds so good.
Thanks.
Okay, Jason Fitz, it is your time to talk to Raider Nation.
I think for Raider Nation, there's a special bond between fans. And the ups and the downs can make all of us crazy. That's why we're fans. Fan is short for fanatic, right? The one thing I'd say is that I think all of us need to remember that the community of Raider fandom is the coolest part of it. I genuinely don't believe any other fan base has the same community. We should embrace that. That commonality and voice is special. We need to never lose it. We also need to love each other through that, because just like families fight, so do Raiders fans. But ultimately, the best part about being a Raiders fan isn't even just watching the team on Sundays. It's the community that is the Raiders fandom.
Up next, he's no stranger to the game.
I was on the field with men, with experienced men playing one of the greatest games.
I catch up with former Raider and actor Carl Weathers.
It's go big or go home.
Plus,
I don't know if there's been a cooler day.
Raiders Talk of the Nation will be right back. This segment has been brought to you by Modelo, a taste that's pure gold. Modelo, brewed for those with a fighting spirit.
We're here at Allegiant Stadium. We're here with some first responders. We've got some police officers, some firefighters that have came out. We've got a concert going on. We had them doing some stuff on the field earlier, and we're getting ready to do a episode of Family Feud.
Yeah, so I got to run the 40, got a little battle wound from it. It was good. They're out there kind of putting us through the gauntlet, and we got to see a lot of what the players get to do, which is awesome because we don't get a piece of that. We get to watch them play, but these guys are tremendous athletes. The food is amazing. I mean, I've never been to an event that's been held for us first responders where they've given us such amazing food, so it's hard not to go back for seconds and thirds and fourths. So it's been amazing. It's been cool. And live music's been amazing. I love it.
We're home right now, celebrating the first responders, man. I'm excited, it's game night. It's gonna be Family Feud type of thing. I actually watch Family Feud, so I'm actually excited, man. I'm more excited, to thank those guys and, just thank them for their services and everything that they do.
It's really fun for us to do it in a way like this. We're playing a little game and competing a little against each other. I heard we got a little firefighters versus police officers, so I think we're going to be split up and may the best team win.
I told the people with our PR that I was going to watch an episode of Family Feud and prepare, so I really knew how to do it, but I lied and I completely forgot and I did not do that. So we're going to be up there just winging it. We're hoping for the best. We're excited. It's going to be hopefully a great event, and we're going to do it up. So see how it goes. We'll have fun. Have you guys seen Family Feud? Okay, so what am I supposed to do now? That was a joke. I've seen the show. Steve Harvey looks like this. All right, show me Miami. Ooh, okay. Okay, so if I understand the rules correctly, if you get 3 of those, it's bad.
You know what? It was more fun than I thought it was going to be. Of course, he made it fun. And then again, it's just a game. We love those guys just as they love us. And it's just a little friendly competition.
Having the Raiders put this on for us has been, incredible. We get a lot of love and support from a lot of the community, but it's not too often you have teams come out and put this much effort into not only being there, but truly spending time with us, having real conversations. It doesn't seem like it's just a PR touch-and-go event for them. They seem like they're genuinely here to have fun, talk to us, and they really appreciate us, which is cool. I mean, it does mean the world to us. So, I mean, thank you to the Raiders for that. I couldn't be happier with that.
They got our back, so we got their back, for sure.
He's played a bounty hunter, a pro golfer, and one of the most famous boxing champs in the history of film as Apollo Creed. But before his amazing career as an actor, Carl Weathers helped lead the Raiders to the first ever AFC Championship game in 1970. And I got to be there to see his reaction when stepping on the Raiders field at Allegiant Stadium for the very first time. You're here for the first time.
Yeah,
first time you've ever been to the stadium. You were mentioning how much it means to be here and just in awe of it. What are your thoughts when you first walked in?
Well, first of all, it's Raiders. That's the first, because in probably the history of the Raiders organization, along with Just Win Baby, it's go big or go home.
Yes.
So this is Al Davis's legacy as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, absolutely. And you are going to add to that today when you light the torch.
I'm lighting the torch? Oh my God.
It's going down.
Well, we're gonna, do what comes naturally by going up there and honoring the legacy of the Raiders and honoring Mr. Davis, and also, being a part of the fandom of the Raiders.
Your career has been nothing short of amazing. You've done so much. You continue to do so much. How much do you look back on your moments that you played with the team? Now, again, being a fan, what do those moments feel like for you to have that now?
Coming out of university, San Diego State, being a free agent, making the team, anecdote. I made the team. We're talking 1970, okay? That's a long time ago.
That's nothing.
A long time ago. You weren't even around then, come on.
Thank you.
And
let them know.
And I got a check, an unexpected check. So I went up to Mr. Davis in training camp and I said, thank you for the check, Mr. Davis. And he looked at me without sort of blinking an eye and said, what do you mean? You earned it. And then he just moved on. That's the way he was, and I think this is in keeping with my memory of the Raiders, the times there with everybody from Blanda to Stabler to Monica, to be a young kid and to walk onto the field with those guys and try to be a Raider. I look back at it now and go, jeez, man, what was I doing there? But
was it intimidating? Or did you know?
I was too naive to realize what I was into.
Gotcha.
And I was on the field with men, with experienced men playing one of the greatest games that's ever been played in the history of sports in the United States and maybe in the world. Because as they're, transplanting American football to the rest of the world and having fans. I mean, you go to Europe, you see Raider paraphernalia everywhere. You go to Australia, Raider paraphernalia. You go to Asia, Raider paraphernalia. So
worldwide.
Mexico, of course, a huge fan base. But what does it feel like? It feels like, man, was I a lucky kid? Here we are, all these years later, coming from a kid to here, and there's still one thing. With the Raiders, just win, baby. Just win.
We've got more coming up. We're not done yet. Raiders Talk of the Nation will be right back. This segment has been brought to you by Coors Light, an official beer of Raider Nation, made to chill. Raiders Talk of the Nation has been brought to you by Allegiant Air, the official airline of the Las Vegas Raiders. Low fares, non-stop flights. Book now only at Allegiant.com. Credit One Bank, the official credit card of the Raiders. Intermountain Healthcare, the official health partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Discover your inner champ at Raiders.com/champ. From the Eagles and the band Perry to the lead singer for The Cab, I caught up with Bones and his wife Josephine Scriver, who said their I do's in the heart of Raider Nation. How's it going? And by the way, you were not here yet this season.
No, I haven't been to a home game yet.
Okay, where have you been? You've been busy.
I had to work in Paris Fashion Week. I had to do my Europe tour, so.
The last time she was here was the wedding.
Yes,
This is when we got married on the field.
That's wild.
And this interview cut in those photos because, by the way, what kind of strings did we have to pull to make that happen?
That was all you.
I think that was all Seawood. I think that was all Charles Woodson. Yeah.
To have that now be a part of your lives, you're already fans since day one, but to have that now in your memory, in your life forever, what does that mean?
It was the most special day, and getting to just be here and everybody touching the field and getting here to the field.
I don't know if there's been a cooler day in my life. Like my dad fixing my tie in the locker room, like my nephew who's 2 years old bringing the ring to us, like walking down the emblem. I mean, I don't know. That for me, that was pretty top of the list of everything.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, we're good now.
Do you remember the first time you guys watched a game together?
Yes, because so we were watching the Bills Raiders, and I didn't really know about football as much as I was like, I'll be a Raider fan, but I need to ask every single question on the planet.
Yeah.
I also didn't understand the Bills were called the Bills.
No, this is actually a great story. She goes, "Can I ask you a question?" I go, "Yeah." She goes, "Why would you ever call a team the Bills? No one likes to pay bills."
Okay, my English wasn't
This is when her accent was really thick.
You two were just dating, right?
We were just dating, and
I
was
didn't realize
dying.
that Bills was also a cow of some sort.
Yeah, we were dying.
That is the cutest thing ever.
It was so wholesome and innocent asking. She was dead serious. Like, why would you call the team the Bills?
Now, walking the runways, doing everything that you're doing, you have a new deal, right? Apparel-wise. Let's talk about this for a second. She's always Raiders down, head to toe, but what is the deal? What's happening? And where can we get the merch, okay?
Oh, I'm so excited. I got to have an amazing relationship with Lids, and we're doing a whole Raider collab. It's all Raider hats. I'm doing my own little embroidery later in the season. Sunday's coming out that I'm really excited about. Me, Raiders, Lids. It's going to be really, really exciting. So,
the absolute cutest couple ever, and I'm excited to see Josephine's new Raider collaboration in the near future. Thanks so much for joining me on another episode of Raiders Talk of the Nation. I'm Sibley Scoles, and I will see y'all next time.